Hi, close friends. Today's video is a bit of a mashup because I would like to gather many of your responses that you kindly shared on the question I posted on our membership community board. Let me pull it up. We're planning to have our live on 5/20, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and I wanted to post an edited video for Friday, and many of the suggestions, throwback videos using older palettes, some eyeshadow palette looks, a peach look, ABH Nouveau or ND Retro, a Pat McGrath mashup, skincare and prep before application, maybe a glowy minimal look with eyeliner. How about a throwback to Subliminal? That OG started it all. Subversive is my OG for sure because, that palette. Or even La Vie en Rose? Yes to both. So we have a hodgepodge of different ideas, and I thought we can split them between this edited video and the live we'll have on Saturday. So today's episode of Close Friends, I wanted to dip back into Huetopian Dream. I don't know why, for some reason, when Lisa has suggested a peach look, I'm like, okay, I immediately thought about Danessa's Bellini. This is probably one of the peachiest blush shades now that I have in my collection. And maybe throw in a little bit of Isom, perhaps to enhance, collaborate with Huetopian Dream. And yeah, going through a little bit of my complexion routine that you will see on my main channel on my May Get Ready With Me. So that's where I go into the different concealers that I've been using, but they've been the same. The Lancome 350 and 360, Dior's Forever Skin Correct in 4N. I stopped it there because I have to do my eyebrows still, and I wanted to bring you through the cheek step in creating the peachiness, and then we'll get into the eyeshadow. I don't know how many looks we'll do for this vid, but we'll see. We'll play it by ear. With that said, it's time for you to come in a little closer. That's enough. Let's brush these brows. Of course, the pencil's all the way at the bottom. Brows are on. Let's talk about what we'll do with our cheek routine. I have been using Say Sunmelt as of late. A good combination between the Dior Forever Skin Correct, the Danessa Myricks Blurring Skin Balm, and although the texture a little more emollient than other cream products, I just appreciate the finish, the color. It allows me to layer as I like. I could go in with Pat's bronzer over top and it won't appear muddy. And I like to use my Makeup Forever 109 brush because the angle of it, I feel, perfectly hugs the contours of my cheeks where I want the bronzer to blend on, and that just makes it for effortless placement. As you saw, I don't have to overly maneuver. It just fits right here, envelops not only the hollows but a little bit of my cheek region. The same goes for the forehead, right? So that just makes it super easy, and why I reach for this product often, simply because of the experience. Now, I have 3 Pat McGrath bronzers, as you know, close friends. I like to go in with Bronze Nirvana over the Sun Melt. For some reason, like that yellowness from Bronze Nirvana, although not favorable to all, it works out. It works out on my behalf. So let's take that color over the Say. I feel both shades match each, like they have the same nuanced undertone. I don't know why, man. This is a beautiful shade. And the finish, glorious. It has like a light sheen to it. And again, it doesn't appear muddy or heavy on the skin. It's the perfect dose of texture from both the Sunmelt Cream and now the Pat McGrath bronzer. The bronzer, my goodness, I am pleasantly pleased with the Divine bronzer formula, as suspected from how much I love the Divine blush formula. I'm happy that it is consistent in that regard, because the fluidity in terms of how many products I can layer this on top of, numerous, and it all ends up just beautiful. Oh my god. Loving the Shiseido. Again, as you saw on my Get Ready With Me, I have the Radiant. And, you know, I like to do a little pressy press. I haven't done this in quite some time. I do appreciate the finish. It's soft focus and radiant. Kind of reminds me of what the Hourglass does if I were to use the holiday palette. Definitely same finish, but this takes up a little less space in my makeup bag, but the Hourglass does cover more cheek tasks with one product, so I don't have to then pack Pat's bronzer or Danessa's blurring balm or even Final Surgence's Skin Spark. You know, I could just rely on the palette itself, but man, it's sometimes hard. I just want to bring it all with me. Now going in to Bellini, what I've been doing with Final Surgeons as well is I like to first warm it up on the back of my hand. I have a little more control in that way, and it also applies with a little more of an evenness. So I like to tap it down over both bronzers, and man, the peachiness is lovely. I mean, this is all I need to create a peachy spring look. The color is perfect for that task. Is not too corally, not too pink. Yeah, it really just brightens me up. And why I like to overlap it over bronzer, because when I wear this by itself, it could be like, whoa, peachy face, which is okay. That's acceptable. But if I wanted to ground it down a little bit more, I do prefer to apply Bellini over a bronzer base. So as you saw, I like to apply the bronzer first and then Bellini on top. And you have this really nice gradient, like this bronze Nirvana moves nicely into Bellini, but not in a way that overwhelms my cheeks, right? Or the hollows of my cheeks. Isn't that pretty? And I just go in slowly and build it up, right? So if I want a little more here on the center of my face, yeah, I like to have my foundation brush on standby just to pounce on the borders where bronzer, blush, and foundation, or in this case, concealer meet. So you can dial down the intensity as you like. And listen, this is probably my go-to complexion for spring, summer. I kind of like no eyes. I do just love the focus of the peachiness on the face. Why I also have been loving the pastels, but we have the magnetics on today. This is from what is now Mooncat, used to be Live Love Polish, their feline magnetic collection. Do you all remember Venus November? Do you remember that? This is in Lynx and Bengal, like Bengal tiger. Man, oh man, I was getting real nostalgic when applying these suckers, and always just a pleasant experience with magnetics. And yes, I did partake in their most recent sale, the Mooncat sale. I got a few more magnetics, most definitely, because I just can't stay away. I love Mooncat does magnetics so well. What can I say? Going into the eyes, prepping, I'm gonna prep with my concealer. Something I wouldn't usually do unless I have, let me go into Danessa. I'm gonna go into Danessa. Although I feel like maybe you gotta use more. It all depends on the formula. I think I want to go back to MAC's Paint Pot actually, because that stuff does not fade. It keeps that shadow on all day. Now to kind of match up with what we have on the cheeks and what we have in Huetopian Dream, also opening Esam's Balanced Artistry palette, because although they don't have, well, that's not true. The matte here leans a little peachy. It's hard to see on camera, but we can probably use some of these shades to steer like the more coral into maybe more of a peachy moment. Let me first then apply this shade here. This is on the warmer side, and I'll pick a fluffy brush for that task if I can find it. Again, with this warmer matte, throwing that across the crease. We could always do two different eyes. You know how I'd love to do that. So I'll first start with this shade, and then I'll go in with that hot coral shade, which you could probably use as a blush. I think I've done in my original Huetopian Dream video, and overlap that with the Eyeshadow matte. And what this does is just kind of change a little bit of the undertone of the coral so it doesn't appear as vibrant. So if you wanted to mute it a little bit, just so it could coincide more with the peachy shade and not appear as hot, that's something you can do. And also utilize the Eyeshadow palette for, I think the mattes are formulated to mix with other colors and to change the color and not appear muddy on the eyes, right? Something I also expressed with Viseart mattes in general. Yes, they're similar, but the formulas are different. I think Viseart is made in the US and these are made in Italy, because someone was like, it's the same thing. I'm like, not really, but I get why you're saying that, but it's not. Carrying Pat's coral shade here on the lower lash line. And let me throw on a little bit of Eyeshadow's matte. Yes, we got that. Looking good so far. Now going into Huetopian again, we have this beautiful duochrome. We got the two metallic shades, probably with this. And I'll start with my finger. Do I want to do that? You know what? Let me pick this up with Reference 28, the pink metallic shade. This definitely leans more pink than peach, but I do think a fitting shade to wear with Bellini on the cheeks. I'm carefully carving in and under the crease to keep that metallic fairly low. I don't want it to travel all the way up. And this is where you can add on deepening color on the outer lid. You could go in. Is this Extreme Mahogany? Let me just get the card. What we just applied is Cosmic Bloom. Through the crease, we have Shockwave. Now I'm thinking about placing Extreme Plum Noir on the outer lid to create a little more smoke. Now, you could have done that first and then apply the metallic after, but sometimes I like to go in from this angle, meaning applying the metallic first and just tapping the deeper shade on the outer V, because I feel tapping is easier for beginners to rely on versus the swirl and twirl method. Like, many people have trouble with the swirl and twirl method, and I get it. That's something you acquire over just experience with applying eyeshadow, right? It comes naturally. It begins to feel easier the more you practice that technique. But just tapping a deeper shade on the outer corner, I think, is a more accessible approach to adding that shading to the eyes. I went a little overboard with the blending here, so just tapping around the higher edges, which is something I like to do, in keeping my concealer brush on hand to serve as the eraser. Now we have a little more smoke, which I like. We could have kept it super light with just Cosmic Bloom and Shockwave, but this is where I wanted to invite one of the Astral shades. So Astral Amethyst Moon is going to give us that vibrancy on the inner corner. You know, I'm feeling. I think it's a nice pairing with Bellini on the cheeks, but let's pick up I'm going to pick up my pointed Refer 26 with the amethyst shade and press. You don't need to wiggle. You just need to press, and whatever ends up on the brush is more than enough, as you see. And I learned my lesson, picking up an even smaller brush. Ooh, let's just use the other one, Astral Venetian Orchid. This one has a little more chunk. It's a little more flaky. Wrong shade I picked up. So you just want to press gently onto wherever you want that shade to go. And in this case, I would like it to be on the inner lower part of my eye, because I think that adds such a beautiful brightening effect. And I'm bringing the Amethyst Moon shade a little lower so it can combine with Venetian Orchid. So that's the brightening element we have. Yeah, you can even tap a little bit of Amethyst Moon, like just enough, right, to create that overlay effect and bring it on Cosmic Bloom. So it has that continuity across the entire lid, right? The majority starts on the inner corner and then you bring it over Cosmic Bloom. And there's, you know, that continuous flow of color. Picking up my 26 again, because I do want to place a little more shockwave here on the inner part of my crease, as I think, you know, there was a little missing color there, you know, looked a little too bare. Placing that here. Ooh, that's nice. We like that. Also, let me grab my smaller, so this brush is just magnificent. The Traditions brush, S3, because it's so fluid, and especially for now, I'm picking up the original Esom shade we started with through the crease, because I want to place a little more here. Yes, where we tapped, but I wanted to get more color there so it didn't look like it was like, was something there? Did you just take that off? Technically I did, but you know, a little too much off. There we go. Ooh, that's pretty. Now, one of you had with skincare, it was Lindsay, how about skincare and prep before application? I could do that in the live if you like. A glowy minimal look with eyeliner. So let's do an eyeliner moment for this side. Maybe using shadow instead. What can go well with peachiness? Well, Extreme Plum Noir definitely can be a moment. I think that'll be beautiful with what we have going on the cheeks. Also, a simple black coffee moment is always welcomed. You know, I'm going to do that because realistically, that is something I did over the weekend. I 100% slapped on Luna Rose on the lid and then black coffee on my lash line. But we can see what's in the Esom palette, however. The metallic one. Ooh, okay. You know what? I think I want to use this shade right here. Is so beautiful. It's soft. It's not like the chromatics or the metallics, but look at that shine. And I just love the texture of the shadow. I'm like, I'm tapping, but not really knowing what's happening because I don't have a mirror. I just love how it lays on the skin. It's just, again, the effect. It's so lovely. That's a little more rosy gold. I could have gone in with the more gold. So I'm placing that on top. See what happens. The advantage of these textures being as soft as they are is that you could change your mind and just layer them and it doesn't look heavy on the eyes whatsoever. Let's pick up our beloved black coffee, and something that I have done and now am getting better at is nailing the angle of the wing. So I like to look down and follow the angle of my lower lash line. Now, this is not going to guarantee nailing it each time, but it does help, right? And then from there, I'll go in to lightly sketch across the lash line. You want to get as close to the lashes as possible and not leave any gaps. And then, of course, from that point, you could draw back in. So then we have our rough sketch. This is where we'll grab a small pencil brush. It could be flat, it could be round. In this case, it's my Refer 23. Make sure you wipe it if you used it before. Remember, we used it to apply Venetian Orchid and some of Amethyst Moon. You know, we can definitely put the sparkles on black coffee. So that is a technique where instead of using the special effect shades first, you lay down a foundation of an actual pencil. It could be black or it could be this color. And then you tap the fun shades on top. So not only do you have a guide, but you have adherence, right? So you're not just kind of freewheeling it. I'm gonna go complete this dip. You see that dip? It goes shroop. I want it to appear straighter. If we can, we'll see. Okay. So this is ideally what I would do if it was minimal liner. I just use black coffee all the time. I know I could use something else. I know I could use a liquid liner. It's just tough, man. This color is just so wonderful. What we can do, let's see here. This is how it looks with black coffee and the Esum shimmers on the lid, which I think provides just a nice glow to the lid so it doesn't appear flat. I think it looks wonderful with Bellini, but we can experiment with tapping one of the metallic or chrome shades. So we can do a duo. We could place this maybe on the inner part and then the more red on the outer part using that same brush, and I'm pressing the more copper on the inner part of the eye, following that trail, wiping color off, going in with the red, and then pressing that on top and letting it overlap the copper, right? We want to cover black coffee as much as we can just so it can appear that the chromatic finish is doing all the work. We could also wet this. It's going to provide more glide. Taking our trusty Max Thick Blef and then going over what we did. There's the shine and the glide. And look, even if you had maybe a peachier shimmer, you can definitely use that color instead, 100%. Ooh. On the inner corner, we could go back into Huetopian Dream, maybe gold it up on the inner corner. Let's see what we got. It's hard, man, because, you could still go in with this shade too. It's a fun time, as you see. Like, look how bright my inner corner lower half is from this distance. It's like the bronze shade, Bronze Solaris 005. I think might be a little too, it's a little too yellow. We could always just leave it bare. I mean, that's the thing too. I like what's happening on the lid and on the lash line where the focal point is the liner, right? We can go in with the softer gold shade here from Esum's palette onto the inner corner. Maybe that's a more appropriate choice because it is softer. And I'm also putting in a little bit of the rose goldy shade here because it's not going to take away from the liner, but it will provide a little bit of contrast to the inner part of the eyes. And I forgot, we didn't apply any highlighter yet. That's okay. We're going to get there. I think lashes are just for the look. Ideally, sure, I wouldn't apply lashes. Not ideally, realistically, I should say. I would just slap on mascara. But we're going with the Nakeds 421 from Ardell. A fitting style. Doesn't overwhelm the lids. Because I can't get down with them crazy lashes anymore, fam. Like, it's just too much. I need something realistic that adds that flutter, that volume. I always say volume, but it doesn't look, like old school beauty YouTube where the lashes are so intense that it's like, whoa. And there are some eyeshadow looks that call for that 100%. But for this, I feel like I gotta be a little more conservative. That's just me though. So since we did a collaboration, if you will, of different ideas, we did the peachy look, we did a little bit of Pat McGrath, a little bit of Esum as like a supplement palette. So we'll figure out what we'll do for the live, but this is nice. So let me make sure I give the glue an opportunity to get tacky. That is the, and I dropped them, the most important tip when it comes to applying lashes. If you don't let that glue get tacky, not bad. Oh, we're almost done, my God. Even though these are fairly comfortable, I don't know if I can go an entire day with these on. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think I do need to get used to that potential just sensations when it comes to having lashes on. I do think it's something you get used to, but if you don't wear them all the time, when for the occasions that you do, it's like, oh yeah, they're there. But if anything, I would definitely pick Ardell's over the heavier lash band designs, because I don't know, gotta put more glue on this one because I waited too long. I don't know if I'll be able to handle those like heavy banded lashes all day, and it's always tricky to figure out how much of the corner I can get away with, because if it's in too deep, like, it does feel uncomfortable. I think I placed this too far in. I also didn't place enough glue on that part of the lash band. It's always the corner. Now this side we nailed. Why can't we do it on this side? How come one side always gives us problems? The story of our lives. Dropping down a little bit of Isom mascara on the top to combine. I keep forgetting what the best approach is. For me personally, if I apply mascara before, it's tougher for me to apply the lashes because my lashes are kind of up. So to land the strip on my lash line proves to be tougher. Whereas if I don't have any mascara, I could actually see where the lash band is going, and for me, easier. But I understand if people need to do it before. Totally get it. Now, what are we gonna do for the lips? We do have our Merit colors, but we also have the Suku lip wrapping treatment, and I'm leaning towards the terracotta color. Something I discovered with this formula is, although it might look like, whoa, on the initial application, I do appreciate how it settles into the lips. Like, the color softens a little bit, and it doesn't appear as, like, in your face, which might not be a great thing, but I like that simply because, speaking while applying lip glosses, stop that. I do appreciate how the color settles a little bit as it wears. It just appears like a softer rose, but I do think it pairs nicely what we got going on the face and the eyes. Still have to apply highlighter. Going in with Vital Surgeon's Spectral Shine and Dew of Dawn. Now, we understand this formula is a little tricky. They reformulated it so that it is easier to apply with fingers. I do like to go in with a brush. So going in with BK Beauty's 109, I just like to kind of, rub, and then tap on the cheekbones, because I don't want a traditional shiny highlighter. I want something more soft focus, because I do appreciate the focal point of Bellini, right? And that's where I want that to stay. And then you have the eyes, we got the lip going on. You see what I'm saying though? Initially when I applied it, it was like, ooh, but then it just kind of like settles into itself. This is so pretty. Also, I do have Gucci's Coral shade, number 4. Official name. Bright Coral. If you want a little bit of reinforcement, you don't have to take the step, but just, tapping this on top of Bellini, just right on the center, right? If you wanted, again, this part of the cheeks to take on a little more color, but not too much, and how it combines with Bellini, there's similar undertones, so, we're doing good. Also, I think I want to tap around a little more Powder. Going back in with Shiseido's Radiant. Synchro Skin, Invisible Silk is like 5 different names. I want to tap forehead. There we go. And a little bit here as well, under the blush. And here are the finished looks, close friends. I hope you enjoyed this session. It was fun to, again, use the makeup that I have been thoroughly enjoying, revisiting Huetopian Dream dipping into a little bit of the Isam, having the peach color lead our cheek and complexion routine, and definitely want to come back on the live, whether we hop back into the Isam palettes, maybe we choose a different Pat McGrath palette, maybe we choose a different cheek hue, leaning more towards you know, I could always go terracotta. Maybe we do a little more like medium pink instead. Maybe I could like use Vital Surface's Singe. That is a beautiful color, and that could lead us into the eyes in terms of the color palette and whatnot. So definitely let me know down below in the comments. Always thank you for your input, as it helps me decide what to film. Something valuable and helpful to you, close friends, and thanks for supporting my membership channel and just being here to watch my content and now to help with the content ideas. Much appreciated. Stay tuned for our live. Cannot wait to see you there. And until then, take care, and I'll see you soon.